Hi everyone, so last night I sat down for a couple hours with the Maxroll boys. Here I was with Rax, Rob and Novar, and we were experimenting with potential Foreman speed GR setups for XP farming. So usually this has been Firebirds or Rat runs for most people in at least the last season, and before that, most of the time it's just Rat runs. And it's very hard to compete with that meta, but there are a few things that pop up in Season 24 now because of the buffs from the ethereal items. In general, everyone is going to be a lot stronger, and that includes Rats as well. And it seems like Rats still is definitely near the top, but there is a lot of competition suddenly. Part of the reason why we actually have this variety now is because of those ethereal items, and they are a little bit imbalanced between different classes. For example, the Gold Demon Hunter here with the Buriza Dokianon got probably the best ethereal in the entire patch. And it just benefits more than, for example, red groups, which get maybe 1 or 2 tiers less as a benefit. And the difference was not all that strong to begin with. So Gold DH performance speeds were maybe 15-20% XP per hour behind red runs, for example. And if you close the gap by 2 tiers, suddenly you are looking at almost exactly the same values for people that care about efficiency and maximizing. And since the highest XP per hour is king, this will shape the meta and this will shape what most people will play. And it seems like, especially with the Gold Demon Hunter being such a popular solo build, there will probably be a lot of people also trying to do this in form and speedruns. And now you can, and you don't really have to feel bad about it. It seems like that when you run a red party in extremely optimized high-end groups where you drop the zBarb or a zDH, you might outperform this by a little bit. But in the end, especially in like standard red parties that have a zBarb, you will be around even with this, I'd say. The thing is that actually the Firebirds also got insane buffs here in this patch with both the Wizard Spike and the Mangsong's Lesson. Most likely you'll actually wear the staff for Firebird speedruns for the most part, or maybe you have a combination of one Wizard of that and one of that or something. But Wizards Firebird speeds versus red runs was already around even, and Wizards definitely got a higher buff than the red runs. So I believe that actually the Wizards will win in terms of XP per hour, but they will do quite slow runs. So you have to go very high tiers beyond 130, and you have to do them in like around 3.5, maybe 4 minutes or so. This is the typical Firebirds meta that I also have played a lot in Season 23. It was very fun, it was very refreshing, and it's gonna be pretty much similar to what it was the season before. We will have to math out the exact differences between the metas, and we have only done limited testing in the few hours we had, so we were also trying with a lot of different classes. I tried replacing one of the Gold Demon Hunters with a Fire Ally Inner Monk. So this is the new build from Season 24, and it's very cool, it's very powerful, and it's not even the final form yet, because it will probably still get slightly buffed. At least they will probably fix the Mystic Ally bug. So right now, if you have Mystic Ally damage on your items, it doesn't count, and this will make the build almost 2 tiers stronger when it starts working again. So this will definitely help it catch up and make it quite powerful, to at least the same level as Gold DH or potentially even higher. So we're talking about a meta where you can include at least one of those monks, and essentially you stack a lot of cooldown. You have Messerschmitt's Reaver in there, you have Engeum even, and you just spam your fire allies that explode like over and over and destroy everything, while there is like one other DPS like the Gold DH clearing up all the leftovers for you. So this worked pretty well, the damage is definitely there, and this can be a very exciting alternative if you don't want to do Rats or Firebirds. So you can do 1 DH, 1 Monk. We also tried other combos like double Monk, which unfortunately was a bit inconsistent because sometimes the fire allies were not really doing what you wanted them to do, or you just had cooldown and you couldn't really do anything. So it's definitely great to have one other DPS in there that can do consistent DPS to just make sure that you can always finish off everything. We also tried another interesting combo, which was Gold DH plus a LOD Bombardment Thorns Crusader, and this was also quite powerful. So LOD Bombardment was already one of the best solo farming builds in Season 23. It didn't get the craziest ethereal, but with the Redeemer it definitely got a really nice weapon, and in some rifts especially it deals so much massive damage because it has this 50% demon and undead damage, and that covers almost half the monster types or so. So in the end, you have a really strong powerhouse here on the Crusader, and it kind of suffers from the same issue that the Monk does, that sometimes the barrels don't really hit everything, and they will just fall on random monsters, and there is a cooldown, and you have to wait for the next belt proc. So again, you want to have someone like a God the Age to kind of clean up the leftovers. But definitely, like, the big impacts are there, and they just obliterate when you have a tightly stacked pull. Everything will just instantly pop in some cases. So this actually was very exciting. We were also considering going for double Crusader, but no one here had one ready for this. But it definitely seems like you could probably even mix and match between Crusader, Monk, and Demon Hunter here to be on a level that is like very, very close to rat runs. And lastly, another option that we have explored is the Zuni Witch Doctor. Yes, a Witch Doctor. So this is actually a quite powerful build. The issue is that they have redesigned the Witch Doctor ethereals in the latest patch to supposedly buff Witch Doctor, after some feedback was there that Witch Doctor just didn't really get much love here. So they tried to help them a bit, but they actually introduced a bug that makes the build not really working well right now. So what I'm saying is, they have the Git Bin ethereal weapon, which buffs voodoo skills by 200%. Previously you had to use Ghost Flame, and that one only gave you 100% damage bonus, but to everything. And now the fetish sycophants are bugged and not working with this Git Bin right now. So what we did here is we actually used a different weapon, and we went down in tiers to kind of approximate a working Git Bin weapon. So we went -7 tiers here, so you have to imagine this as something like a GR 120 in this time that we are doing. We also took off some of the damage from the Monk here, so we combined Monk plus Witch Doctor, but you could probably also combine Witch Doctor plus Demon Hunter and even the Bombardment Crusader. So they all seem to be kind of the same. Issue with the Witch Doctor here is that it is extremely squishy, but once you are augmented, you have some gear, and you play a bit careful, it will be okay. So as long as you don't really take the big hits, you will survive most things. It's mostly very squishy when you play solo with it. And the other issue is that the timing and the positioning is extremely important. So sometimes you might get walled off and you can't really do any damage, and then you just run out of Echoing Fury stacks, or your conventional elements runs out and all that. So there are definitely some particularities to this Witch Doctor build, and it also has extremely small AoE. But essentially this works a little bit like the Bone Spear Necromancer. So you have your pets shooting darts in the same direction that you do. They're just not really that big, and you can definitely melt elites pretty fast in this. It seems like the Witch Doctor is not exactly on the same level as the other speed metas with the Crusader or Monk or Demon Hunter, but you can definitely make it work, and the damage is there. And if you are going for a Witch Doctor season, then this might be something to consider to be included in form and speed meta. In the end, we'll have to wait for the final patch notes to see if they're actually going to fix that bug with the fetish sycophants, or just how things are going to turn out in general. Then maybe there might be some other balance adjustments. Maybe Monk is going to become super OP suddenly. Who knows? But for now, this is definitely a very exciting situation for the game, I think, because we've never really had so many different options, and I think this is absolutely beautiful. I actually made a video talking about balancing in Diablo 3 not too long ago, and how I think that the balancing of classes and builds should mainly be done around speed farming potential and not so much about pushing potential. Some builds just work better in farming environments, some builds work better in pushing environments. This is not really anything new, and it just always depends on how the build mechanics are made. And giving the option to mix and match and combine different builds in these form and speed metas is actually amazing. It is exactly what a game needs to provide long-term grouping experiences, and not just this reliance on your main party or your this one meta, like only Firebirds or only Rats, and you can't play anything else. The great part is that all the metas are so close that you don't really have to worry about the differences, and it's exactly the right direction for the game. So I hope that in the future this will continue with slight adjustments up and down for all of those builds, and then slowly introducing more builds so that we can have multiple DPS roles for each class. Right now, almost every class is represented in the meta with a DPS role, so there are some missing, like the Barb, Essentially, we're just missing a DPS barb meta, but that can also be solved in the end with, you know, maybe a frenzy buff or Hoda buff or, you know, whatever else they have in mind for the barb at some point. So that would be amazing to give them a DPS option too. But other than that, everyone is there, and it's definitely up to the player to decide what to go for in the end. For our team, we also still don't know yet, so it is definitely leaning towards a monk group, or at least having one monk in there to, you know, make either some strong Rift Guardian killer with that, or just in general enjoy this new monk meta that you can build with this. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do like another Firebird season, even if it becomes slightly stronger than the others. I'll very unlikely do rats, so it will be something of the other stuff. We'll see about that. For now, this is what I have to share. We are gonna do more testing, we are gonna do the calculations and eventually post the meta updates, the tier lists and all that on Maxroll. So you can expect that in the next probably 1 or 2 weeks or so. But of course, we don't know the final patch notes, and there might always be some adjustments at some point. In either case, Season 24 is shaping out to be amazing with the ethereal items, with the balance between the classes, and I'm very pumped for it, and I hope so are you. So hope you like this video here, and I'll see you guys next time.